Hello and a very warm welcome to this video. My name is Pauline.
I'm David.
We are both energy intuitives and channelers.
And in this video today we have some questions and answers taken from one of our interactive live events. We got some great questions, we had a brilliant event, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was amazing, so thank you so much to everyone who attended.
And we learnt a lot as well from some of the new topics of conversation that came through. So all in all, a great set of questions.
Just a point of note, as channelers, when we are receiving information, we tend to have a little bit of a download face. This is David's download face. I'm going to leave you to watch the rest of the video to spot my download face.
Well, you could show it now.
No, I don't think I will. We'll wait till the video. That's something for you to look for.
And there is one point to note about this video, and we do humbly apologise. There are one or two little sound issues with it. We didn't quite get the levels correct, so when we laugh and the audience are laughing, the combination of that volume overloads the sound a little bit and there's a bit of distortion, so we'll just have to ask your forgiveness on that one. So,
ready?
Here we go. We got that timed right, didn't we?
We did. Yay!
So we've had this question posed a few times. So what came through last time we were asked this was that some animals do have souls, not all animals, but all animals have a consciousness. So even those that act on instinct, they still have a consciousness. But there are domestic animals and animals that have a wider purpose or a wider journey. They actually have souls, and souls can come in and connect to those. So typically our pets. So that's why a lot of people who are connected can sense their pets around them after they've passed over, because they are in fact often still there. Because what pets do is they attach to family groups. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's your family as in your mother, your son, your daughter, this sort of. It means as in the wider soul family, they can attach to a group of souls in a wider soul family, and where there's an opportunity to incarnate or to enjoy an incarnation back within that family situation, then they'll always take it, or nearly always take it. So yes, the pets do also have a journey. Their souls, they kind of move forward and they also graduate. It's part of a development path. But I can't expand on that any further because I've never actually asked that question. But I'm sure somebody will ask me it at some point. That's something we'd have to ask, wouldn't we? We'd have to channel through.
We would. But I think what we'd perhaps do with that question is put it on our list of questions, and we're doing many more channels that we're going to put out on our YouTube, where it requires quite a depth.
Yeah.
Shall I make a note of that one?
Yes, put a note of that one.
Right, so do they come back as
humans? Can they graduate to humans?
Right.
Yes, from the higher perspective they do, yes. The kind of the consciousness that is attached to their incarnated bodies, they may not understand in that moment, but they can feel your love. Animals connect to you. They do, our pets do connect to us. That's part of their purpose. That's what they come here for that connection. So they do connect to us. So they have a certain level of understanding, but they can't process in the same way humans can, though. Obviously not. No, they have every life we have a role to play as well. We interact with people, and a part of our incarnations, and as we heard earlier from the Galactic High Council, one thing that they told us in a previous session was that as well as planning what experiences we want within our lifetime, we also choose our parents, and we also choose who we're going to interact with, and we choose our friends. And similarly, that's a similar type of thing with your pets as well. If they know that you are going to have, if there's an opportunity for them to incarnate into a family group, then they'll take that and they'll come through.
It's quite interesting how much pre-planning goes into a lifetime. You come in here wanting to achieve certain things, so you have an opportunity to set sort of milestones, if you like, of your life. Because if you came in without that, anything could happen But some people do choose to do that, don't they? They come in for the wild ride. But many people actually choose to set some connection points, certainly with other people, so that they get the opportunity for the experiences that they want to develop their learning journey, because that's what this is all about. It's Earth School.
So the Galactic High Council have just stepped forward again, and they said they can answer that one.
All right.
So we'll have a quick go at it now then.
Okay.
Now this is the upper echelons, because they've just said, "Good evening, dear ones." And whenever I hear a word "dear ones," I know we're talking to the senior management. So good evening, dear ones. Yes, indeed. Those souls that you think of as animal souls can indeed graduate and can, at a later time on their soul journey, incarnate and develop into human souls. So this is entirely possible. It is not unheard of, but it is not always the case, for there are many more incarnational experiences that are available and open to for those souls that are at the animal stage of development, so to speak. But indeed, eventually, along their path, they can actually end up as human souls if they so choose, that that's the path they want to follow. Although many do actually are involved in an entirely different development path, but it is open to them if they decide that's where they'd like to go. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's possible, but not always the case. And I was kind of shown a divide there, where there was more that didn't and less that did. Yeah. Highly developed animal souls can actually communicate with those who have psychic ability.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has a cat that always tells me off when I see him at a spot. There's actually quite a few people that you wouldn't imagine that have had conversations like that, and when we brought it up, all of a sudden we hear all these stories, don't we?
Yes.
And people say, "I daren't tell anybody that. They'll think I'm crackers."
But I think that with my dog that I used to have Westy, and he used to literally walk around my feet, literally in rhythm and in tandem with me. And David used to say, "How do you not fall over that dog?" And I said, "Because in every moment, he's kind of connected to me, and I know exactly where he is and what he wants." But yeah, it's quite fascinating, and I do feel him around a lot, and he does come in, and I feel him jump on my knee. So they are still around. It's that love connection.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
That's quite a difficult one, isn't it?
It is. Did I interrupt you there?
I'll just say this little bit.
Go on, you go.
I think in every experience, you've got to be able to experience the good and the bad. So, although you look at murderers in abject horror, unless you have seen that, even if it's at a distance, you have no concept or experience of what the bad actually is. So from a learning perspective, coming to Earth, where we naturally have a lot of dramas going on, there's crime, there's war, there's all of that. But by witnessing that, even if it's just through the television, you have an appreciation of, I do not want that in my life. I can see what that does at a soul level. But if you've never experienced the aspects of the challenging dramas, you would have no concept of that, and your learning would be limited. So it does serve a purpose. It is a really, really difficult conversational one to do, but being able to see it, witness it, and then acknowledge for you, I don't want to be a part of that, I don't want to be near that or around that, that enables you to accelerate your soul journey towards the light.
There's also a concept that we all have a role to play, and within each world, so here in Earth, there are roles, and one of those roles is that of a criminal or a murderer. people who do bad things. But that's part of the experience that we have here, because ultimately those who come here and fulfill those roles, they don't actually know how bad it actually is until they experience it for themselves. And then we don't actually know that we don't want that until we either experience it or we see it. So there are all these roles to play, and we all interact with each other. We're all kind of helping each other to learn and move forward on our own individual soul journeys. So there are worlds in the higher dimensional realms that they don't have concepts like that. They don't have crime, because everyone's connected to unity consciousness and everybody understands what each other needs, and everything works as a community. But on this particular level we're at right now, we have these things, and it's part of the environment, and it's part of the roles that different people play. It's not a nice thing to experience, but there's a flip side as well with that. So we also have a lot of nice things, quite a lot of nice things, and I think, it's having that balance and having that understanding that everything always has to be in balance, and trying not to focus on the bad and look at the good, because in rejecting the bad, you then take a step forward on your soul journey. In rejecting those things that are unhelpful. Well, any action where somebody is hurt or impacted negatively, no matter what that action is in effect a bad thing, because it's an unpleasant experience. So one aspect of our own individual soul journeys is, and one thing that we channeled through, didn't we, at our last event, was that is not actually judging other people, because we're here to learn and to develop and move forward. So we, on an individual basis, we have to learn what's helpful to us, what serves us, and what doesn't. And one thing that we got through a little while ago was that if we allow ourselves to be triggered, so if we get angry, which of course you're going to get angry at some point by things that happen to you, but that anger is a very heavy emotion, and it's personally unhelpful to you. But you have to understand that, and you have to see that. And in the greater context of your soul journey, as you graduate through all the dimensions, you can't graduate until you've actually shed this kind of this innate response where you get angry or you want to retaliate or something like that. Because when you're in a higher dimension, you're more connected to you're more connected to each other. So angry thoughts affect everybody around you. They're literally, I mean, they do here as well. It's just it's not on a psychic level. So it's all part of our learning and development. So these bad things that happen, that trigger us, we actually have to learn for our own personal development that not to be triggered by it, to acknowledge it's bad, reject it, and say, I don't want anything to do with that. But on a personal level, I understand it's unhelpful, I reject it, and I focus on what is helpful to me and what will help me move forward.
And I think as well, as you move through the dimensions, as consciousness raises, you become more unity connected to each other. So you become more aware of each other's needs and wants. And it's not something that can happen overnight, because if we went straight from the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension, chaos would reign, because we'd all be able to read each other's thoughts. Which would be a little bit, you've got to think about it. So the development has got to be slowly and gently, but ultimately, as you move into fifth, you're moving more towards that unity consciousness of everybody being more interconnected, the more understanding. But it is a process, and the process, unfortunately, is in the lower dimension, understanding the dramas, difficulties, crimes, war, and being able to appreciate what that is, the impact it has, and that you evolve to navigate away from that.
That could be what you need that could be what you actually need in your path for you to develop and move forward. It could be a part of your journey. I mean, nobody, in your right mind would pick horrible parents. But it could be actually what you actually need in that moment. It also, there's another concept as well which comes into play here called karma, and this is a really big really big subject. Yeah. But if you've been involved in something in a previous lifetime where you have done something bad towards other people, and that has impacted them, and you haven't been able to resolve that in between lifetimes, you may then have to come back and reincarnate and experience that from the other side, so you can understand what you did in that previous life was bad, and why it was bad, and why it was unhelpful and hurtful. It's one of those questions where nobody can answer it for you. The only way you can get understandings through is through yourself, is through your own gut feelings. If you're not connected enough to ask your guides those sorts of questions, is to use your own gut feeling. That's the only way to do it, really. But there are many different scenarios that could play out in that respect. It could be that you wanted to understand some aspect of that type of relationship where, you know, you can't create confluence with your parents. And you wanted to explore and understand what that meant for you personally as part of your journey. It could be an aspect of karma that you are having to work off effectively.
I think that's the thing, though, when you look back at the difficulties and challenges in your life and the difficult relationships, you actually learn a huge amount from those experiences, far more often than from the nicer things. And you learn and you grow and you develop as a result. The key thing is to embrace your own healing journey, to move away from it, and to allow the emotions that were raised through that experience, to allow them to be released and let go. Because if you sit with the emotion in you, that doesn't do you any good at any level. But if you can actually move through those emotions and say, right, okay, yeah, that was a pile of whatever, but I've learnt from it. I'll see that coming off a mile off in future. I won't go there again. But I can release and let go. And if you can get yourself to the point, the healed point where you can actually forgive, the healing in that forgiveness is phenomenal. And the more you can move through your own personal healing journey, the more you can connect. And it's quite amazing. We've done so much, each of us, on our own personal healing journeys, letting go of difficult stuff from the past limitations, past belief systems which didn't serve or support us. And with each bit that we released and let go, the more we connected and the more our psychic connections opened up. But it has been a journey, and sometimes it feels like a journey, like you're walking through fire. And you think, oh, crumbs, beam me up now, please. But yeah, the more you can embrace your healing journey, the more that your world opens up for you. So but it is difficult, and I totally get that. That personal responsibility, taking personal responsibility for a situation, even if it's a bad situation, it's done to you, it's your personal responsibility how you experience that. And in embracing personal responsibility, you put yourself in the driving seat, you put yourself in a position of power, and you're really able to move forward. It's when you sit there thinking, oh, everybody else is to blame and it's been done to me, that makes you the victim, and that takes you down. But if you can embrace your own power, personal responsibility, yeah, that was awful, but this is how I will experience it and move through it, it's a world of difference.
So can I come back to you, because I think we didn't quite resolve that, did we? We cut it off, so apologies. Is there anything else you'd like to ask us about that? If that was a part of if that was one of their objectives for their life's journey, then yes, they've met that objective. So they could have come here for that experience explicitly. The same way, there's a subject of, I know that this is really touchy, so I'm going to try and keep it in as general as possible, but there are children that come here and live very, very short lives. And some of those come here because they are new souls, and it is so overwhelming for them that they can't actually manage in the environment for very long. So what they do is they come, and in conjunction with their parents want to experience that loss, and they say, right, well, I'm a new soul, I can only cope with a few weeks, a few months, whatever, so I'll come through and we'll work together on this. So when we agree our life's journey, when we come here, we kind of say we want these experiences, they're kind of ticky boxes. Then there's all these other things that can happen as a result of interacting with other people, unforeseen circumstances, things that just happen as a result of everybody's free will all kind of mixing into the pot. So we have to agree to so much of this. We have to say, this here, we agree that we'll accept that, and then anything outside of that we don't want to know about. We're not here for that. So that's where your guardian angel comes in, because they can kind of give you warnings and things and get you outside of, if you're heading into some sort of danger that's explicitly outside of your life path, you can be warned about it and giving you the opportunity to course correct and move away from it.
We got that with missing a really bad traffic accident. We got a kind of an early warning, and we pulled in and stopped, didn't we?
Yeah.
And literally right in front of us, it just unfolded.
Yeah.
It can often be the case that because you're in a soul group, that you tend to reincarnate into family situations or close friendship situations with souls that you know. So yes, it can be almost like the baby just born was very much like grandma who passed a few years ago, and it may well be that, yeah, actually that's grandma come back again. So that, possibilities, it is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I think the experience that I had with my past life is I know some aspects of past lives, and that was helpful to me to understand that, because it explained quite a bit of personality of what I came in with. But I actually, in my past life, I was shot in the chest, and I still have the mark on my chest, and I was told that's what that is. So you can come through with some aspect if there's something around that that you need to work through. It might be a karmic issue, it might be some other aspect of self that you need to come back and rework in another way. And for me, I came back very much because my last life was in war, and in war you had no voice. And I came back very driven to join the legal profession, which is where I spent most of my working life, to find a voice, to be an advocate, because I felt very strongly about, that having a voice. And that was very much driven by my experiences in my past life, and I understand that. But I've only got that through, obviously, my connections. It is. It goes back to that healing journey of peeling back the layers, if you like, and moving through and letting go. It's a continual learning journey, and as you learn, you heal, but it can be a slow process.
So it's part of the karmic resolution process, because you didn't have a chance to resolve that or to heal that. With karma, you bring aspects of your past experiences through into the next life. So in your case, it's probably this medical condition that's come through to give you you have to basically, it's more or less to remind you and to prompt you that you've still got this to work on, and then you've got to kind of deal with the emotional trauma.
It is a journey, and I would say look at the emotions that are connected to it, because when you identify the emotions, that can give you some pointers, but it will come, and I've been told that I will get further insight as I go along as to why. But with things that were big experiences, they can take some shifting. But if you can look to the emotions connected to that, and look at situations that have come in your life that link to that emotion, you may find that you can start to shed a little bit more light on it.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Never been asked that before.
I would say on your timing of your birth aligns up with the life circumstances being available for you to come into. And you have in your life some exit points where you can potentially go. Now, it may be that you choose at a subconscious level to take one of those exit points, or you may think, wow, I'm having such a wonderful time here, life's hunky-dory, I don't want to be going now, and you sail through those exit points. So nothing is absolutely set in tablets of stone for your date of death. It's not like you've got, a date, a calendar date printed on your forehead somewhere. It's you set some exit points, and your exit point might be set if you were so physically or mentally disabled through something happening in your life that you would choose to exit rather than continue to live to deal with that, your choice. Or it may be sort of exit points later in life where, certain health conditions came up. You might have exit points set around that. Or you might not have anything. You might just say, right, well, let's just go with this and see what happens. Let me just flow with the whole thing. So you have set some things, but you've also left things open as well, because that is also an important aspect of learning, of not having everything so inside a box that you can't experience, develop and grow outside and take opportunities to take up something that you would never in a million years have thought that you'd do. But an opportunity presents itself and you think, oh, let me go over here and try this. And your life's got to provide for that, for you to take an opportunity, take a chance on something new.
Sorry, can I just, I've got a little bit extra to add to that. It's probably going to open a can of worms, but there's also, and I'm obviously being told to say this for a reason, but there's also an aspect of your date of birth that fits in with your zodiac sign as well, because within the kind of the zodiac signs, there are what's called, I'm trying to think of the best, but maybe design patterns. So there are patterns that are applied to your life depending upon the sign of the zodiac you were born under. So also that plays a factor as well in the choices that you make prior to incarnation. You may actually have to choose one particular zodiac sign so that you'll follow a life path that will support what you actually want. And that's just come to me. I've never even thought of that before, so I'm obviously being given that for a reason. There's somebody in here that well, your Akashic record is a record of all of your life experiences and all your past life experiences, everything that you basically experienced. So it's like a big database. It's a fifth dimensional database in the sky, effectively. The Akashic record. It's fifth dimensional. It's a record of all your incarnations. It's not your entire soul history. It's just your incarnations, because so it starts at the first incarnation you have.
Yeah. So you can actually go back in and revisit for you when you decide to choose another lifetime. If you want to go back in and look back at your history, it's there for you.
How do you start it? You graduate to a point where you're eligible to incarnate, and then you go and see Archangel Metatron and say, please can I incarnate?
And he
Maybe I did.
He said, right, you're over there, son.
Yeah. Well, when you want to incarnate, you'll be presented with the options and choices available to you. So when you're planning your next life, you'll be presented with the options and choices you have for your next life, and you can choose and decide from there. Well, you kind of have to take what comes to you once you get here, unfortunately. Yeah.
But you have set a frame. You can set your framework. If you say I want to come here and I want to be a doctor, that's my I want to be a healer or whatever. Then you would be choosing a family where that's more likely to kind of come through with those sort of opportunities. So you can set some structure to it. Or some people say just come for the wild ride and say, right, send me in and let's see what happens.
So we hope that answered some questions for you. It certainly brought quite a bit of information and realisations to us.
So, the final thing to say is, thank you for
watching.
watching. And in this video today, we have some questions and answers. To me.
All right, so thank you for watching, then what? We look at each other, or the camera.
Just look at the camera, because we're looking at... And we don't.
And we don't.